My friends, 61 years ago, this day was Easter Sunday. Now, you may wonder, how do I know that? Well, it was 61 years ago today that I was born into the world. And my pediatrician, who I saw many years as a little boy, never failed any time I saw him to remind me how much I ruined his Easter by being born in the middle of the afternoon. I've not made much of birthdays over the years, but growing up, my birthday was a day of great celebration for both my parents, most especially my mother, who took more delight in my birthday and that of my sister than her own. And when I was a teenager, I asked my mom, why make such a big fuss? And my mother said something very wise that has not only helped to form me, but quite frankly to understand the beautiful gospel we heard today about the life of Lazarus. She said to me, "Figlio mio," this is my son. She said, a birthday is an occasion where we don't just celebrate the gift of our life, but we celebrate the fact that our life would have no meaning unless we celebrated all those who have allowed that life to prosper, to move forward. It's not a personal celebration. It's a celebration of everyone whom we have met, who has nourished us, accompanied us, challenged us, supported us, made us into the person we have become. And she would look at me and say, on our birthday, above all other days, is the day we are to give thanks. I think of this story of Lazarus, who certainly had a birthday when he was born from the womb of his mother. But consider with me, my friends, Lazarus is one of the few people who ever lived that actually had two births. When he was an infant born of his mother, and born a second time into the same human life at the gracious gift of Jesus. And consider, as we hear in the gospel, that as the Lord allowed him to be born again into this life, to be resuscitated into this life once again, as he came out of the tomb with his face wrapped in a cloth, that when they untied him, the very first thing he saw was the face of Jesus. Imagine the joy. Imagine the gratitude. And imagine how Lazarus saw the rest of his earthly life, for which we do not know how long it was, how he saw it in so different a manner because of the gratitude looking upon the face of the Lord who gave him birth again. See, it's interesting. When we seek gratitude in our hearts, those hearts seek Jesus, the source of all blessing. And everything else in our life takes a different perspective, finds its rightful place, because Jesus has found his rightful place in your heart and mine. That's a lesson you and I need to reflect on as we go through this tremendous trial and period of challenge in our lives. For there is much that can easily discourage us, much that can give us pause, and there are many who will wonder and even doubt in faith to see so much hurt and so much suffering and so much tragedy in our midst. But allow me to suggest that for you and I as people of faith, this also is an occasion to reorient ourselves once again to keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. For the world will want us to focus on the signs of suffering and death in our midst. But we are called to keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. And if we do that, not only will we have hope, will we have strength, will we have perseverance, but we will also be able to remain grateful for all the blessings God gives us and continues to give us, even in these times of sacrifice and trial. As I said last week, God never abandons us, even when we cannot find the path. But when we spend the time to gaze upon his face, then we will never forget that all of us who have had a birth into this world, that there is a new birth that awaits us, a birth unlike Lazarus, for we will be born one day into the glory of eternal life, where all the sufferings and challenges and pains of this world will find their healing, and where the gratitude that you and I have for all that God has given us will find its perfect fulfillment when we will look upon the Lord and live a perfect love and joy in a life that is our destiny as his disciples and the children of the Father. Our destiny is to have the fullness of life. And it is in times like this, when we are so challenged and so tempted perhaps to wonder where God's presence is. Lazarus reminds us to allow the wrappings around our eyes to drop and to look upon the face of Jesus, and with gratitude offer to him all that we have, so that he may allow us to be untied, to be set free, and one day to join him, not in this life, but also in a life that will never end.